Hi, I'm Dr. Carolyn, owner of Trinity Holistic Wellness, and today we are in our second video in a three-part series on detox and weight loss. So just to recap a little bit, I'm a naturopathic doctor, I'm board certified naturopathic doctor, and being so I don't diagnose, don't treat, however, I'm kind of a teacher and educator, and the information here is for your personal choices so you can become informed in how your body works. So, our first video, we learned a little bit about the liver health, and how a healthy liver supports optimal weight loss and optimal health. We took a look at its role in detox. We looked at liver 1, phase 1 and phase 2 enzymes, and we looked at the impact of chemicals on the liver, and we also learned that your liver is your chief fat burning organ, so we want to take care of it. So today, what we are going to look at is your endocrine system 101, because in order to have healthy and optimal weight loss, we also want to make sure that we have optimal levels of hormones. So we are going to look at our endocrine system. I have some little circles here. I'm just going to fill those in as we kind of go along. So we're going to look at a few glands. We're going to look at your hypothalamus and your pituitary. Now starting right here, your hypothalamus and your pituitary are in the center of your brain. Now your hypothalamus is part of what's called your endocrine system, which we're going to look at those glands, but it's also part of your limbic system. Now your limbic system is your emotional body. So every time you take an emotional hit or you're under stress, the hypothalamus is engaged and activated. So if you're under a lot of emotional stress, or a lot of even physical stress, but more emotional stress, hypothalamus can become compromised, and it's not going to function as well in the endocrine system, and that's what we're looking at for weight loss. So anyway, your hypothalamus communicates with your pituitary. Now your pituitary in the center of your brain, right next to your hypothalamus, is kind of like your CEO of the endocrine system. Now, when I say that, it's because it sends downward signals to the other glands. Now your pituitary, we talked a little bit last week about chemicals and how they affect the body. Two primary chemicals that you really want to avoid for optimal health and weight loss are aspartame, which is in our diet sodas, and a lot of artificially sweetened products. So aspartame and also MSG. MSG and aspartame are both what we call an excitotoxin, and that means those chemicals create a response and a cascade of reactions in the body that will cause cell death in your pituitary gland. So for weight loss, we want to avoid aspartame and MSG, but also aspartame is going to have an effect on the pancreas, which we're going to take a look at here in a moment. So we're looking at hypothalamus, pituitary, really important upstream glands in the endocrine system. And then next we have our thyroid. Now a lot of folks are familiar with their thyroid. It's in your neck. So quite often we have fatigue and we want to blame the thyroid, or we think the thyroid is weak, which sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So let's take a look at thyroid hormones. Now we also have a video that you can look up. It's on our website, and I look more in depth into thyroid hormones. So today it's just kind of the cliff notes on thyroid hormones. So your thyroid makes T1, 2, 3, and 4, and these are thyroid hormones. The numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the number of iodine molecules on a base. So we want to make sure that we have adequate iodine intake. Now in this part of the country, we tend to be low in iodine. We're in Indiana. Michigan is it's called the goiter belt. So anyway, a lot of my patients do really well when I put them on a really high quality iodine for thyroid health. Now, your thyroid also being right here, one of the things we want to make sure we don't do is spray perfume here. We talked a little bit in our last video about chemicals and even perfumes and the impact they have on health. So one of the things we don't want to do is kind of poison the thyroid. Now, your thyroid hormones turn on your mitochondria, which in all of your cells are the little furnaces, the little energy factories. So we want to make sure that that thyroid can make its thyroid hormones to get into the cells. Interesting, the T1, 2, 3, and 4, I'm going to talk about T3 and T4. T4 is the primary hormone that the thyroid makes. So T4 is converted to T3 in your liver, which we learned a lot about in our last video, and the importance of liver health. So if your liver is working optimally, your body will be able to convert T4 to T3, which the primary conversion space is your liver, kidneys, and other tissue as well, but primarily the liver. So when your liver is healthy, you're going to have the levels of T3 that you need. Now, T3 is the active form of the thyroid hormone. Gets into that cell, turns on the mitochondria, and you have energy. So, also your T3 helps to regulate your serotonin levels. Now, serotonin is the feel-good neurotransmitter, kind of the feel-good brain hormone, brain chemical. And we're going to talk more in upcoming videos about serotonin and mood and emotional health. But today, just know that T3 is an important hormone, and we want to make sure thyroid is healthy. It can make your T4. Your liver is healthy. It convert T4, and it can convert T4 to T3. So, all right, so kind of moving on from thyroid. If you want to learn more about your thyroid, on our website, we have a thyroid questionnaire, so feel free at TrinityHolisticWellness.com. Take a look on our thyroid page, and then we have a questionnaire. We also have a tab that you can take a look at that has several questionnaires there, so you can take a look at those. Okay, so we're going to move on to your pancreas. Our pancreas. Pancreas is a big, big player in weight loss. Now, your pancreas is part of two systems. It's part of this endocrine system, and it's also part of your digestive system. So your pancreas makes digestive enzymes, and it makes two primary hormones. One, I'm going to use a red marker here because the red are going to be hormones that encourage weight gain and interfere with weight loss. So your pancreas makes insulin, which we need. We need insulin because insulin is going to move sugar from the bloodstream into the cells. So we really need that. However, your pancreas, let's say you take in a meal with sugar or white flour, you name it, anything that's going to be converted to sugar right away, pasta, donuts, things of that nature. So you eat that food. Now that food doesn't have any life or vitality in it. In our next video, we're going to take a look at foods, optimal foods for health and weight loss. So anyway, your pancreas has to immediately deal with those carbs, those high carbs, because they turn to sugar, and your pancreas has to make your insulin to take that sugar in the bloodstream and push it into your cells. So after that happens, at that point you have taken in food that doesn't have digestive enzymes. So your pancreas also has to release digestive enzymes. So it's doing double duty because we're eating food that isn't optimal for our health. But when insulin is released as a result of the ingestion of sugar, remember, insulin is a fat storage hormone. It will not, when insulin is present, your body cannot burn body fat. Now with some folks, in order to kind of recover from that and get into the space of burning fat for energy, that can sometimes take up to 72 hours if there's been damage or insulin resistance, which we'll do another video on that. So anyway, to burn fat, we need our pancreas to create not insulin, but glucagon. Green for go. So glucagon and insulin are kind of like a teeter-totter. One is dominant over the other. So if you have insulin, if your insulin is dominant, and that's from the ingestion of sugar, which if you want to lose weight, you cannot eat sugar. And aspartame will causes a very similar response in the body, in that your body perceives sweet as coming in, and then that sweet tells the brain, tells your pituitary to tell the pancreas to release insulin, but then sugar doesn't come in. So anyway, the pancreas will release either insulin or glucagon depending on your food and what's going on biochemically. Now glucagon, when that's released, at that point glucagon tells your body, take body fat and convert it to energy, and then it gets transformed in your liver, which needs to be healthy. Okay, so we've looked at our hypothalamus, our pituitary, our thyroid, our pancreas. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about our adrenals. Our adrenals are our fight or flight glands. They are our stress handling glands. Now, the adrenals produce several different chemicals, several different hormones. A group of them are called glucocoordinates, and they're more of a sugar base, more of a sugar molecular structure based from sugar. So and they also will make mineral corticoids. So the mineral corticoids are based on your salt, your sodium, potassium, manganese, all the minerals that we need that are of the earth. So when our adrenals are needing to make the glucocorticoids or the mineral corticoids, we will crave either salt or we will crave sugar. So if you're having one of those cravings, it's quite often the case that the adrenals are trying to manufacture their hormones. So now what happens over time if the adrenals get stressed? And stress is emotional stress, it's dietary stress, it's even perceived stress. If you're thinking about that stressful situation that you encountered a while back or even years ago, the same biochemical picture is happening in your body. So what's going to happen at that point, the adrenals are trying to kick off those stress glands and you're in fight or flight. Now when you're in fight or flight, all your energy is going to your circulatory system, the large muscle groups. It is not going inward to nourish your liver, your kidneys, your digestive organs. So even practicing healthy lifestyle measures so you can dial down the stress response will help with weight loss. It's also during stress, your adrenals are going to release a hormone called cortisol, which is another red. I'm giving that a red color because it will inhibit weight loss and it will actually cause weight gain. So those folks that tend to put weight on around the middle, we often have an increase in cortisol. Now cortisol is a stress hormone. It naturally should be high in the morning and subside and be at its lowest point when we're sleeping. And when we're going to sleep, our body should start releasing melatonin. Now, if you're one of those individuals that tends to get that second wind, that second burst of energy in the evening before bed, it's because you're having a cortisol pop. And when cortisol is increased, melatonin cannot be present because cortisol and melatonin are kind of like the teeter-totter again. One is dominant over the other. Cortisol wakes you up, revs you up, melatonin takes you to sleep. So if you have that second wind of energy in the evening, that is not the time to get everything done or the laundry done or whatever it is you think you need to do. It's really the time, note to self, it's time to relax, let the body recover, prayer, meditation, reading, something that's soothing to the mind so the body can then allow that cortisol to naturally lower and allow the melatonin to take you into sleep. Okay, so the last hormonal system, the endocrine system we're going to talk about is the gonads. And in women, it's ovaries, and the men, it's testes. So here is where we are going to create and release our estrogen for the women. Men are going to create it more in the adrenals and more in the fat tissue. So, and it will be converted from testosterone, but I'm going to kind of not give a lot of focus to that in this talk today. So the ovaries are going to release estrogen. Estrogen, also a red marker, because it is a fat storage hormone. And that's why women have more body fat, because we have more estrogen. Now in our last talk, we talked about different chemicals and different chemicals that are called xenoestrogens, meaning they are foreign estrogens to the body. They are a chemical, and xenoestrogens also cause an increase in fat tissue. So if your insulin is high, your cortisol is high, your estrogen is high, it's going to be really hard to lose weight. So how can the body start to balance these? Well, with the pancreas, in part, lower the sugar intake. Because there again, we cannot lose weight when we are ingesting sugar. It's impossible because of the hormonal response that's occurring in the body. How can we limit cortisol? Well, first we want cortisol's fine in proper ratio, and we need it in the morning to wake us up, and we need it to diminish. Now, when we're living a life with a lot of stress, or we're eating food that's stressful, and that's your sugar, you're going to have a release in cortisol. So, lifestyle measures, and then nourishment for the adrenals, and that's one of the areas that I help many patients with, because a lot of individuals, unfortunately, do suffer and experience some form of adrenal fatigue, and we want to nourish those adrenals and bring them back. And lastly, estrogen. And then we also see a connection with the ovaries and polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. And with polycystic ovarian syndrome, we will have an increase in insulin, the fat storage hormone. So the fix there is to nourish nourish the ovaries and nourish the adrenals, so you can bring that back into balance, and also nourish the pancreas so you can have healthy levels of estrogen, healthy levels of insulin. So that's our topic for today. I hope you learned a lot. The Endocrine System 101. Again, Dr. Carolyn with Trinity Holistic Wellness. Thanks for coming, and remember, live healthy, live happy, live holy, and live